we had ourselves an update from Chris Johnston that is honestly really kind of important. Something that may not seem as important on the surface, but something that, if it goes through in the way that people are saying it will go through, will actually provide us with a very, very good scenario on our hands. Let's take a look at what Chris Johnston said on Twitter. He talked about how Linus Sandin, Rasmus Sandin's older brother, is intending to sign with the Philadelphia Flyers, but that he can't do so until the NHL finalizes its new international transfer agreements. Now, that is news in and of itself, I know that. But the next tweet in this series of tweets over here says that it sounds like the IIHF transfer agreements will be or have been extended for a year. Either way, there's no official entry-level contract yet, but Sandin has picked the Flyers from the group of interested NHL teams. Now, that's actually very interesting, so I googled it up, and I took a look at this article over here from lakelawgroup.com, and they talk about the International Ice Hockey Federation's transfer system. And there are a few different types of transfers. There are transfers between IIHF leagues. There are transfers for players going from the IIHF to the NHL, which has a completely different set of procedures. Then, you have IIHF to NHL the other way. It's a lot of weird stuff that goes on over here, and the way the IIHF had labeled it out, it was in need for a renewal. So, now that we learned that the IIHF transfer agreements have been somewhat renewed, or are in store of being renewed, Rick Dhaliwal has a little scoop as to what could potentially happen because of that. It sounds like the IIHF transfer agreement will be extended. The Canucks can then talk with top prospect Nils Höglander about signing his entry-level deal. And in addition to that, the Canucks are still in the mix to land Swedish forward Mathias Bromé, and the Red Wings are as well. So, with all of this put into place, it kind of portrays how important this transfer agreement actually is. The fact that the Canucks can't sign their overseas prospects until this IIHF thing gets sorted out, and actually be allowed to bring them over to North America. Höglander was in the system for a year. The only difference was he was playing in Sweden. But now, once this transfer agreement comes into place, Nils Höglander will most likely be open to signing, and he very well just might come over to North America next season. With this, it puts a whole new perspective on the Höglander argument, on what's going to happen with him. We already talked about Höglander in our 1 year later video, talking about how from the draft into his draft +1, he was a small guy, but he was a strong guy, and he was a very skilled guy, and he's probably the flashiest Vancouver Canucks prospect in the system today. But now, we have a track as to actually encapsulating what could happen in the future. Whether or not he stays in the SHL will most likely be his call. You see it time and time and again, guys who develop in Europe, guys who are drafted out of Europe, guys who play their draft +1s or their draft +2s in Europe, not really be open to playing in the AHL. And there is a very good argument as to why it's usually like that. Would you rather want to be developing in a pro league at home where you're most comfortable, or get sent over to the AHL, which is not the NHL? You're playing against less fans, you're playing against rougher, tougher opponents on smaller ice, and overall, it could be a very interesting decision if Höglander decides, hey, no, I'm just going to stay in Sweden if I'm not going to be guaranteed an NHL spot. Obviously, though, that does not mean that he will not take the AHL as a route. That's just the common trend that I have seen, and me talking about that one trend. Now, there are philosophies to combat that idea, for sure. But the fact of the matter is, if a player is playing out of Sweden or Finland or wherever, and he wants to make the NHL, he wants to make the NHL. And playing in the AHL or something could in some form, be somewhat of a hindrance to his development. We've seen it before in Utica, Trent Cull not being the guy to play the young guys all too much to the expectation of the fans, and it has really been a very sour situation sometimes. So to me, it wouldn't really surprise me if Höglander decided to stay in Sweden, play with the Rögle BK again for another season, or maybe some other team if he gets offers, I'm not sure. But if Höglander does sign a contract and he does come over, I honestly think he is either going to stay in the NHL or go back at some time. I don't see Höglander staying in Utica for too long, if not just for a conditioning stint or whatever, but there are certainly options now because we do have the IIHF transfer agreement in place. As for Mathias Bromé, he's a guy who we've been talking about for a long time. He had been linked to the Canucks, he had been linked to the Red Wings and the Capitals too. He had been linked to all these teams, but it was always a rumor that presented itself earlier on that he was mostly leaning towards either Vancouver or Detroit. Now, if he chooses either of these teams, I honestly could not care less. I'm a fan of both of these teams, so I would not really be too upset if he chose one or the other. But if it were up to me, I would say that he probably does have a little bit more of a guaranteed opportunity with Detroit. And that's something that shouldn't come to a surprise to anybody. Hey, Detroit's a bad team. Hey, Detroit has a lot of spots that could be filled if they just find the right players. Vancouver already has a set lineup in place, and they're in a position where they kind of are a little bit further ahead in their transitional period than Detroit is. But, as a result, it means that Vancouver also has better players. If you're Mathias Bromé, do you take the easier decision, the one that's guaranteed to give you a job and sign with Detroit, or do you go to Vancouver because, hey, the opportunity to play with Edler and Pettersson and Markstrom and Louis Eriksson and all these other Swedes is so interesting too? We will see how this goes along, but I will say that Bromé, to me, has a much better opportunity if he just goes to Detroit. But I wouldn't be upset if he comes to Vancouver either. Free assets, we love those over here. Just in case you needed a little bit of a refresher, Mathias Bromé is a 25-year-old winger, 6 feet tall, 183 pounds. He had 43 points in 52 SHL games this past season playing for Örebro, and he was one of the best players in the league. He was the 6th most productive player in the league, and he really showed slowly over time that his scoring transitional ability could definitely flourish and prosper at the SHL level. So it's no surprise to see that NHL teams would be looking to get players like these because of their free agents, because of their looking to come over to the NHL to make more money and to possibly take their talents into North America. You take advantage of that, obviously. But if we're the Vancouver Canucks and we're taking a look at both Höglander and Bromé and both of these players get signed, ooh, boy oh boy. Assuming that my assumption that Höglander would want to play in the SHL or the NHL is wrong, and assuming that he actually comes over to play in Utica, imagine if Bromé plays in Utica too. That team would be getting such a huge boost after losing out on Nikolai Goldobin. The Comets could definitely use a little bit more scoring ever since Goldobin left, so if Höglander and Bromé and anybody else that they sign come over and play for that team, ooh, we have ourselves a very interesting situation in Utica right here. But for Red Wings fans, comment down below what you think about where Bromé could slot into a lineup. Obviously, he's an SHL star, but that doesn't at all conclude any NHL success to be guaranteed. So if you're a Red Wings fan, comment down below what you think, because with Detroit being Detroit, there's a lot more holes that could be filled in the lineup. Would you be willing to give a guy like Bromé a top 6 spot immediately, or are you saying no, play in Grand Rapids until you become a competent enough hockey player to play in the NHL? And if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, talk about both of these guys, man. Honestly, there's a lot to talk about with both Höglander and Bromé. We already made a video about Höglander and 2 other videos about Bromé in the past. So just talking about what these two players could potentially offer a Vancouver Canucks team or a Utica Comets team is definitely interesting to take a look at. If they both go to Utica, then all of a sudden Reed Boucher and Sven Berchi and all these other guys that they have a lot more very good line mates to play with. And if a Höglander can suck it up and say, yeah, okay, I'll spend some time in Utica before breaking into the NHL, then that would be a really good developmental decision for both the mental side of his game and the maturity side of his game. Playing alongside of a Sven Berchi definitely would not be a bad thing here, so yeah. Comment down below what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video. So that Troll9, and bye.